Welcome to the Soulful Circuit podcast. I'm your host, Korin Torrence, and I have with me today the one and only John Salley, four-time NBA champion, entrepreneur, wellness enthusiast, and podcaster, as well as podcast network owner. It is such an honor to have him here today, and I look forward to the conversation. Welcome, John.
Well, thank you.
You don't like my podcast voice? Is that the problem?
Yes, I love your show.
Okay, I appreciate that.
I like your podcast ability. Code switching is great.
Cut me deep like surgery.
No, you.
I know we grew up in similar spaces.
Yeah, we did. Mm-hmm. Good voice, though. That's why I agreed to do this show too, because it's podcasts are the future. Females are the future.
I love that.
That's because I had four of them, and of course I put my future into four of them. And it's a trip because just the other day, I was coming out. I got a text from one of my former teammates. I hadn't played in long enough, and he was like, "Yo, man, stop lying on these things about Kobe." I said, "What are you talking about?" And he said, "I ain't never talked sideways about Kobe." And I was like, "What do you?" And so I called him because I don't have time to text. He goes, "Yeah, my boy said, what you call, you said you was with Kobe. He took his headphones off, and he was listening to that I was talking smack about him." I said, "That's not what I said." And the best thing about a podcast is you can watch it back. And what I said is, I would sit with Kobe. A lot of people wasn't. Like he didn't have, and when people say that, in 1999, 2000, he didn't have any real friends on his squad. He was just 20 years old, and he was raised in Italy. So his friends,
and just took Brandy to prom.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So I would be with him, and I would just notice things. I was watching everything. And what I said is, guys over here like Ron Harper and Ty Lue, they were playing cards. Yeah. And so Ty Lue took it as if I said he was talking smack about Kobe. That's not what I said. I said, these guys over here playing cards. I didn't say, the guys sitting behind him. I said he wouldn't be listening to headphones. He would just be listening to see who was talking smack, right? Who was talking sugar honey iced tea about him. Or I didn't say, hey, these guys are saying that. And so, when I get to go back on Vlad or when I do my show, hopefully I will have Ty Lue on. If not, God bless him. But when you're on these podcasts, it's unlike we used to always say in Detroit, film don't lie. I love that, you have a podcast, you're going to get words out, you get people to know things, to see your great talents. And hopefully you'll do it on the Flow Network.
I will. I'm looking forward to that. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about the Flow Network. Let's talk about wellness. Everyone knows you for your NBA history. Mm-hmm. Everyone knows about your NBA legacy. You've played with some of the greatest players. You're one of the greatest players, in my opinion, as well.
I agree with all the things you just said.
You have to understand, my dad is still a hardcore basketball fan. So we didn't get to watch regular television in the evenings. We literally would only watch basketball at the dinner table growing up. So I watched it for a while. But what I want to start off this conversation with, since the Soulful Circuit is very rooted in wellness, is the second part of your career right now, which is arguably the most interesting. And I don't know if you get enough credit for what you're building, what you're creating, or even if you want the world to know, because I want you to tell them right now. But with that said, you've made a huge shift, right? You didn't just stop your career. You didn't stop your life after the NBA. You went bigger. You focused on wellness. You went into innovation. You're speaking at InvestFest, for heaven's sake. Where are you going with all this, and why are you so focused on creating this kind of legacy?
I said because of you. I usually don't have brain farts, so excuse me. In 1991, I don't even think you were born, say thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Keep going. That was a good one. That was a good one.
I don't even think you were born. In 1991, I was 27 years old. had high cholesterol, which is not a bad thing. People are thinking it is. It depends on what cholesterol is going on in your body. And they were going to put me on a pill that one of the side effects was erectile dysfunction at 27.
Wow.
And I've never had that side effect ever in my life. And to tell me they were going to give me a pill that may cause that and a pill to help me didn't make sense to me. I was able to meet with a woman named Dr. Jewel Pookrum, who's in Atlanta now, I think. And she said, well, John, you're full of sugar honey iced tea. I now use that same term. I call it seriously harmful intestinal toxins. And once I cleared my intestines with my first colonic was amazing. I think I lost 9 pounds. And then I started eating microbiotic. I was at 235, 237. I went down to 215. I had literally 20 pounds of fecal matter that needed to be removed from my system. And any problem that I had was gone. So if you ever want to heal yourself, if you ever want to get to a point, the most important thing is you have to clean your colon. So I have a product now called Better Life, Better Belly. And so in case you want to find it, it's thebetterlife.com, BETTA. I had to do that because I couldn't. I had to do it ebonically, you know what I'm saying? Somebody had better. But it stands for better eating today, tomorrow, always. So the Better Belly I got from a great doctor in Koreatown I used to go to. He was 82 years old, no body fat. He was helping people heal themselves. I never say anybody heal somebody. He was helping people heal with his product. But he wanted to retire. So I got the company along with his daughter, and I changed it from their original name to Better Belly. And I've been giving it to people since 2012, or selling it to people since 2012. And the changes have been tremendous.
I appreciate the pack you gave me.
Yeah.
It works, y'all. It does.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to share, but it works.
It works.
And I look skinny. That's all I'm going to say.
And I said why we call it Better Belly and why women were the focus is because they want a flat stomach. If you ever see a female put on a dress, the first thing they do is suck in their stomach.
Okay, sucking in right now.
Well, they really are sucking in their lower intestines because the stomach is up under the breast. So they don't know that. So when it goes forward, they don't understand. They don't understand the band has changed. I do. And so as you're cleaning your small intestines and then into the colon, the large intestine, once you get that out of your system, all of a sudden things start moving entirely different. Parasites have nothing to eat on. It helps clear parasites. It clears your skin. I have a friend, a model, and I saw her yesterday with, some little thing on the outside of her skin, and I go, what's that? She goes, I have a pimple. I go, pimples come from the inside, not the outside. So once you clear that part of the inside, you don't have to worry about your body will show you where it is. Your largest organ, meaning your skin, your derma, will show you where the problems are.
Well, Sal, I feel like you might be a secret nerd. All right? I think you're a secret nerd, but I'm okay with it. I am too. People don't realize that. But speaking of this wellness piece that you're talking about here, I was watching one of your interviews out there, and you were talking about the challenges on even just being 6'11", right?
Right.
And how that impacts your body. And you've clearly taken a huge interest in wellness. Can you speak a little more about, people see you and they just look up and say, but there's challenges that come with that from a health perspective. And I'm sure that's rooted or it spurred a lot of your desire to do your own self-discovery and wellness. Can you speak about that a little bit?
So being a 7-footer, I know being sexy is hard enough, but being a 7-footer, people don't realize, well, they will realize, my heart pumps, it pumps down the leg all the way to the toe and then back up. That is a long way down. And gravity is helping along with it. But, there's only a certain amount of organs that need a muscle to pump it, and the heart being one of them. The chances of a 7-footer living past the age of 60 is 50-50. Whether people want, especially a professional athlete, because of the wear and tear we put on the inside of our body in the training of what we do. I made it to past 60, which is a great thing for me, but there's a lot of my teammates that haven't. And in 2016, 11 of us died from congestive heart failure. Hulk Hogan just died from congestive heart failure. So it's a lot of people not paying that much attention to what causes this congestion. So I have a place that I go to that I post about. I don't even have any equity in this place. I just want everybody to, and a lot of stuff I do, I don't have equity in. I just want people to live well. I understand how far down. I understand when you eat seed oils, they cause deposits in your arteries, in your veins, in your heart area. I understand when you have foods that are inflammatory, starches, and like I said, animal fat, bovine fluid. I'm sorry, milk and cheese, like all the stuff that.
This is why you said you're going to turn me vegan. It's happening. It's happening.
The deal is, you have done a wonderful job, right? To the point you are now. You're beautiful. Being slim is cool, but the most important thing is living. And not just living well, right? So you want to thrive while you're alive. You don't want to just be alive and, there's a beeping sound going on and there's a nurse and your kids got to wipe your butt and, you're watching soap operas from the 60s. You don't want that life. You want to thrive while you're alive. And you've driven the bus to this point, and look how well you've done. Now I want to put you on a private jet.
Okay.
So in order
here we go.
In order to do that, you have to, one, have all the things in place to do that.
Yeah.
And I learn every day. Every day I'm learning something new. I've always understand how hydrogen water works. I've always promoted coconut, period. Everything from the coconut. Yeah, take that company down. But
just joking.
that's some concentrate. But what real coconut is, and like right now, I'm drinking this yerba mate, right? And I think Coca-Cola bought the company. My guy still owns it, but it's a natural occurring caffeine, not the kind that you would get from when you're drinking coffee that has been laced with gasoline.
Okay, I had a glass of coffee before I came, but I'll take this.
Oh,
I'm listening. Yeah. I'm here.
Well, you don't want to put that much pressure on your adrenals, which are a small little gland above your kidneys. The kidneys are by far, to me, it's all important, but your kidneys are so important because they're there to filter out your body. That's why they say, oh man, I had to give somebody my kidney. I gave my own. Well, what did they do to destroy their kidney in the first place?
That they need to do.
That they need your shit. So I really am working on what I can do for my kidneys, how I can keep my liver clean, how I take care of my pancreas, my small intestines, my gallbladder, my heart, my blood overall.
Yeah.
A lot of people have beautiful cars and they think they're cool by going to get their car washed and get the interior done. They don't do any of that for themselves.
Yeah.
So I look at it that way.
Well, speaking of being vegan, right? You've been vegan way before it was trendy or cool. Yeah. And you don't meet a lot of men that are vegan, right? So you're playing a very manly game. You're in a manly world. You're in this place where it's built on ego and masculinity and, meat. How have you navigated that, right? And what was it like being one of the first people to be vegan publicly? And then also just how'd you stick with it despite all the peer pressure and probably comments that came along with choosing a vegan lifestyle?
I am now 61 years old. And in 2000, in 1999, I was 260 pounds. Today I weighed in at 235 pounds. In 1989, I was 239 pounds, 35 pounds. So I'm not putting that much pressure on my body to stay regulated. I walk at least, I try to get in 10,000. I'm averaging like 8,000 now, steps a day. I walk uphill backwards. I took the stairs here because the elevator was from 1912. So I took the stairs up to this place.
And then duck to come in the room.
Yeah, I walk as many places as I possibly can. When people are sitting around and go, man, you got to eat meat to be a man.
Yeah. Meat and potatoes.
Right. That's funny they would say that. Especially with the rate of erectile dysfunction going on in this country. Maybe it's the meat and the potatoes. Maybe it's the starch. Maybe it's the dead animal flesh that is getting in the way of you getting your PETA to pay attention. Again, that's why I started thebetterlife.com. I have all the herbs that they talk about in Genesis 1:29. I made it simple. I put it in a pill form since we're a pill-popping society.
Yeah.
I put these pills in there, help them out. And I have one of my frat brothers, Omega Sci-Fi Incorporated, Rude Dog.
I'm an AK.
What I did with frat is I asked him, how often are you urinating at night? He said 2-3 times. I said, then that's definitely a prostate situation. He was like, yeah, they cut out part of my prostate. And I helped my brother when they literally put seeds, radioactive seeds in, and I said, or you can take the inflammation out of your prostate and with certain herbs. And since my frat started on herbs, he said, I went to sleep and woke up and went to the bathroom. Now, people out there may not understand what that may be, but guys having to get up and go to the bathroom, and if, you with your woman, and she was like, man, you peed all over the toilet seat because you can't control it.
Oh, my God.
It happens. Like, when boys in the bathroom, people just say that. The stream is different. The force is different. And you got to get out of your sleep to do it. 'Cause if you don't hurry up and get up, you don't want to wet the bed.
Wow.
These are real things happening with men.
Yeah, that's challenging.
More important than if you eat meat and potatoes. There was a pill, I'm not going to say the name of it, it was blue.
Okay, good.
It was the #1 selling drug in America.
Okay.
So more men wanted their penis erect than was going after cancer. It was the #1 selling drug. So there's more guys wanting a hard penis that couldn't be around nitrates. And it had 3 side effects. Going deaf, losing your eyesight, or death. And it's still the #1 selling drug in America.
They're ready to risk it all.
Yeah. For
hopefully longer than 15 minutes.
I had a joke for that, but then nowadays people just don't like jokes.
I know. That's fair. Well, as the Renaissance man that you are, we can't talk about your footprint in wellness without addressing your footprint in cannabis.
So I got into it because I was trying to impress somebody. And somebody gave me some chronic. And
how old?
I was 35, 36.
Oh, so like a couple years ago.
Yeah. Cool. And man, when I smoked it, and I do yoga, back then I was, we would do yoga on the Lakers every Wednesday. And, those guys thought I was crazy when Phil was like, we got to stay here after practice and do this yoga, until I got the right instructor to come through, and then everybody was stretching, which I want to tell people, we had one injury the whole season. And that was Kobe twisted his ankle in the championship. That's how long it took. And he was back playing right after it. So we knew how to take care of the inside of our body, or what it was doing, how to stretch it, how to breathe. One breath, we used to say on Chicago and on the Lakers. Phil Jackson implemented it. So when I smoked this weed, this cannabis, My left leg felt like my right leg. I'm stretching, doing all kind of things, no pain in my back. And I said, I got to get into this. And then I saw how taboo it was. And I always remember, if something is that taboo, it must be good for you. And somebody's going to say, what do you mean heroin is taboo? For some reason. But
that's a good point.
LSD, right? It was taboo. Now it's like, hey, we need this back. It opens up your brain. It helps your pineal gland in your brain. It helps you open up parts of your brain you haven't. So anytime, I started realizing it. Then I was into CBD because I saw the effect of CBD. And then my daughter was smoking on my weed, so I said we might as well go into business. So we started.
I know y'all on the cover together.
Yeah, we started smoking. We started Deuces 22 because of my basketball number.
Well, with that said, I just called you a Renaissance man, and I meant that.
Thank you.
But I want to talk about your presence in media, right? So you have TFU, you have a podcast network. You're building a lot. You're an actor, for heaven's sakes. You've been on Bad Boys. You were on the original Bad Boys with Detroit. But when we think of media, right, there's a new frontier coming. And it seems like many things, whether it's wellness, whether it's being vegan, whether it's podcasts, everything, you're kind of like a couple of steps ahead of everyone. How are you doing this? And like, what do you foresee your future in media looking like?
Well, for 10 years, I've been 5 years ahead of myself. You figure that out. No, what happened is, in 2011, my manager at the time, Kevin Parker, a great manager, he manages a lot of comedians and people now, some producers. Adam Carolla had the Adam Carolla Network, podcast network, and no one knew what that was. And he had 2 million impressions, and they didn't understand what that was. So Kevin Henchman, who is a writer of TV shows and movies and friends with Adam, and I had Spider and the Henchman. In 2012, we had the #1 sports podcast in the country, but no one knows that because it wasn't up and popping. It should have been the same time I invested in Bitcoin. Who knows?
You live, you learn.
But yeah, you live and you learn. And we were getting like 100,000 people listening to our podcast and not really watching it, even though we filmed it. And I did like 65 of them. Well, then everyone kept saying, you got to get back on. When I started doing Vlad in 2018, Vlad was already 9 years into the business, or 10 years into it, and, when no one else was paying attention. If I'm doing my podcast, what happens is I'm now putting myself up front. Mm-hmm. And I've been up front for so long, I wanted to kind of play the back playing the background to explain on, because I've been here for so long, or I've been in this situation. I'm not trying to get out of the business, but, help young people like yourself. So I said, it's just hard to throw one dart, right? The best thing, not saying you can't shoot somebody with, one bullet, but if you got a shotgun, it spreads, and you've been hit. Mm-hmm. So I have a podcast called Tapped In with Sibley and my boy TJ Ward. I have my boy has Uncensored Civilian. I think that's what he's calling it. I have myself, the John Salley podcast. God willing, TFU will join. So once you put together, I never won a championship by myself, but I have one with a team. Mm-hmm. So once you put a team together with enough people, we now can go out and get the advertising money, which makes it easier for us to shoot really good content. Mm-hmm. And it's hard when you have to pay, individually, and you got to put it out, and you hope to get a return. It's easier when I walk in with a team and bring the advertising in. That way, you can pay the people who are doing the work, and you can bonus them according to how many people are listening to them. This one of those shows takes off, carries the rest, but that show also, those people on can do it as a living. You know, we don't have to sit around and slave anymore like we used to. So I also just got to a point where I got tired of, I mean, I've been, like I said, I've been here for a while, but I got tired of hearing and rehearing the things that I've been hearing my whole life.
Yeah.
Give you an example. My friend Raven wrote a book about the Black Wall Street because her grandfather, great-grandfather, was the man who owned the newspaper in Oklahoma City who wrote about the destruction of the creation of Black Wall Street and the destruction. And she said to me exactly the situation where there was product that would give you ability not to burn, your brick or your building not to burn, insurance, and structure is happening now in Altadena, California. The same exact breakdown. We want this land. We're going to make it hard for you to build. We're going to say you have to have all these regulations. Yeah. Insurance is not going to pay out as they possibly can. And if you can hold out for 5 years, you can maybe have your house back. But they know they won't.
Yeah.
So it's repeating. I just think enough is enough. And I think we need to go back to the attitude. And, you know, I'll say this, and this may cause some controversy, but only among those who don't want to believe the truth. The Black Panthers were developed in Oakland, California to protect us against police brutality. They were dismantled by the FBI. The Ku Klux Klan is still in existence. Why? And if you sit down and answer that question, I'm not telling you, but hey, every time we put something in a position to protect us, we're dismantled. Mr. Kaepernick, quarterback, took a knee, he literally sacrificed his life and his ability to make money for people who he felt needed to, he just had enough. Enough was enough. I didn't watch football that whole year and I love football, because we had to make a stand on he shouldn't be chastised or torn apart like Nat Turner. Like, we should be paying attention. He's trying to do something for not just us, but the rest. And black folks was like, I'm still gonna have barbecue, and I'm still gonna have chicken wings, and I'm gonna watch the game. He should get off his knee. So I had to learn, you should fight for those who want you to fight for them, not the ones who don't.
I love that. But speaking of black folks, let's talk about Black Folk Media, the Pan-African Film Festival, and Nollywood, right? You're going global. You're going big. Where are you going with all this? What are you thinking?
This is what I'm thinking. Let me see how to put it. I'll put it this way. Russell Simmons, sorry to throw Russell in this, used to say, white folks make it, black folks make it cool, right? Timberland boots, just working boots. Until Diddy put them on Heavy D and LL Cool J, they were just working boots. Then they became the style. Dungarees is what you used when you worked in coal mines or you worked for something. We changed that jean, that rough, into Carl Kanai, and God, what's up, Carl? Into Carl Kanai, into Cross Colors, into Maurice Malone. We made it hot and sexy. Even right now, Pharrell, whether I know they're going to give him the credit, made Louis Vuitton sexier. So we're always in a position of working for someone else and making the product. We either, as you said, don't get the credit, don't get the money, and are buried. So I decide to focus on things that we do great. I decide to give everybody their roses while they're alive. I decide to reconnect us to the original place of man, meaning I want to be the bridge to Africa. I want to continue the mentality of Marcus Garvey and Pan-Africanism, meaning, yeah, I may live here in America, but this is what's going on in Kenya. This is what's going on in Ghana. This is what's going on in Gabon. This is what's going on in the Ivory Coast. This is what's going on in Joburg. This is what's happening in Nigeria. Not saying, taking away from what's happening in America, but there's 44 million Black Americans, and half of them live below the Mason-Dixon line, and they're just trying to survive every day. But if they realized, hey, we got a connection. Hey, this is another way of doing something. We might be able to do something. Damon Wayans used to have a joke. He said, Black unity is an oxymoron, which was funny, but true.
I believe that. I was about to say.
Because
that's so true.
It's kind of hard for us because we've been designed not to get together.
Crabs in bucket.
Right. So, and as Jay-Z said, crabs should never be in buckets. Right? And when they're in the ocean, they're not pulling each other down. So where you put us where we're supposed to be, or where we're comfortable, or what is natural to us, we're not destroying. Yeah. So in order to do that, when I first got involved with the Pan-African Film Festival, it was like 24 years ago. And in the past 2 or 3 years, I've been an ambassador for the Pan-African Film Festival. And I've seen movies that I'm telling you, they're never going to make it on screen, into the theaters. But then you'll see some films that don't have Black folks in them that shouldn't have made it on film in the theater. I'm being honest. Some of them shouldn't have made it, or like no one should have held the camera for these. And
the camera.
But we don't have that chance. Yeah. And so I want us to watch things where we're inside of. I was in a store and I saw Journey Smollett, and I introduced her to my daughter. My daughter, Taya, wants to be an actress. I introduced her to her. Yeah. And I always see, and I've been seeing her since she was very young, since Eve's Bayou, with Megan Good in it, and Samuel Jackson, and Lynn Whitfield. And I've seen her since then. And then when I saw her in, what's the craft? My God, I just lost the name of it. Anyway, it had Courtney Vance and it had Jonathan Majors, and it was a great show.
Oh, yeah, the one that got canceled on each. That was so good.
Yeah, man, see, that's the problem. I remember Game of Thrones because they shoved it down our throat.
Yeah, what was that? I watched it too. I was so shocked when it got canceled.
With Craft or something. Anyway,
okay. Yep.
I apologize for that. But just the idea, the make of it, looked great, but when it pushes and it shows a different way.
It did.
You got to go.
Yeah.
I was watching Corey Holcomb, great podcast. What's up, Corey? And he says, every time a Black guy says anything too woke, he gets killed. He gets pushed off. Anything that wakes up the sleeping from what really is happening, you're pushed to the side. They talked about how Richard Pryor had a great series, and he made a,
I grew up on Richard Pryor. My dad was obsessed with Richard Pryor.
And I laughed, and he was like, oh my God, Black folks started all, and they all backed out and closed them in the door. It was funny, but it was the truth. When you bring too much awareness to our greatness or our ability to be great, you're pushed to the side. So I want to give us a place where we don't have to talk about it. Yeah. We just have to look at it. And I want you to look through, I say, the looking glass on what we're doing. Take the focus off of what they're doing, what others are doing, and just focus on what we're doing. And that's what Black folk media is. And so on August 4th, 2025 at 5:30, I make the first announcement that we're coming and we launch. And then by August 8th, we should have all the plugins and everything in place. And then after August 11th, we're on and popping. And the reason is the moon needs to be in the right place.
I love that so much. You know I do.
Yeah.
We're in the middle of Lionsgate. It's open, the portal. But going back to Africa, right? It's more than just media to you, right? You see it as the next frontier, right? For innovation, for the future, for where we're going. Africa being the next frontier. Like, how do you make
One
sure
of my
that
favorite
everyone gets
rappers
a fair
named
shake?
Ludacris has dual citizenship in Africa now
Oh, really?
from Gabon.
Wow.
And my friend Drea, she is posting and she does the same thing, and that's where she goes back to where her parents are from. And then Luda bought a house, and his daughters have their passports, and his mother and his significant other, they all got their passports. Not giving up their American passport, and anybody out there that thinks they should is crazy, because you can go to Italy if you're an Italian and get two. You can go to France and get, like,
Yeah.
he just went and he was talking about how great, and he did it in a song that people didn't even realize when he was talking about girls all around the world. And he ended with, but the prettiest girls in the world are from Africa. And I don't even think people got what he was saying. And he was like saying, our originals, our bloodline are the prettiest in the world. And so if you want to be in the future, you'll be on the continent of Africa. Yeah. And for those that don't know, Africa is not a country, it's a continent. There's over 54 countries on the continent of Africa. So just thought, well, I had to say it because somebody else is going to be like, he called Africa a country. No, the continent of Africa. You can pick what country you want to go to. But they talked about it. France was kicked out of 3 other countries that they have been looting for centuries.
Yeah.
For at least a century, right? And now they kicked them out. They're now being nice coming back. When China comes in, they built infrastructure. Russia is making sure that you have bullets to kill one another. And they just said, you know what? So much is going on in this continent. Akon went on a very, very famous show called Drink Champs. And some listened.
Yeah.
Some listened. And then I heard there was a spot going up, and I stayed in contact with this guy who was building houses in Ghana. And they were going to we're going to have an African-American town. I disagree with that. We already know what it's like to be an American. We need to know what it's like to be an African, not just of African descent. So separating us, we're already separate here in America. So to redo that over there is crazy.
But when I think about Africa and I think about it being the next frontier, I guess I'm curious, and since this is something that you're actually very good at, is changing the narrative, right? And changing how people think about a certain thing, situation, or teaching that they've been programmed to understand, right? How do you counter that with this community?
So you have to do it individually, right? You cannot... I don't know if I mentioned this to you, but one of the scenes in the movie The Matrix, one of the most important scenes that I think is brushed over, is after Neo couldn't believe what was going on, he wanted out. When they finally got him out of the chair, he's pushing, and then they said, oh no, he's going to pop, meaning his brain is going to explode, and he then vomits whatever was inside of him. When he wakes up, Morpheus is sitting next to him, and he said, I have to apologize to you. We usually don't wake people after a certain point because their mind has a problem letting go.
Yeah.
So if you believe what you believe, you said fear, false evidence appearing real. If you believe that you're limited, if you believe that there's nothing else out there, if you believe that this is the hand you were dealt, so just be like,
this is it for you.
Right. We talk about school.
Yep.
I graduated from Georgia Institute of Technology, for real, without cheating. Right? There's no cheating. And the crazy thing is, I came back to finish after my first year in the lead. And one of the teachers said to me, why is everybody like getting your autograph and wanting to take pictures with you? And I looked at him and I realized he didn't know who I was. I'm just a student. And then when I said what I did and who I was, he was like, oh, cool. This is an accounting class I had to take. When we went to take the test, he sat right here. He didn't sit up front. He sat right behind me.
What?
And at first I thought it was weird until I realized it wasn't. He wasn't looking over my shoulder. He was just looking at everybody else from this point of view, as opposed to sitting up and you can't see anybody doing something. And at first I thought, man, this is some, he's sitting over my shoulder making sure I'm not cheating.
Yeah, that's what I was going to think you said.
Thank God. And I say that because if he held me accountable, I totally changed the way I look at it. So my mentality is entirely different. I changed my POV. One of the greatest movies ever is Life is Beautiful. And I know you didn't see it.
I did not see that.
And I'm telling you to now see it. If you're going to watch a movie, you're going to cry. It won 2 Academy Awards. This is how great it is.
I watched Bad Boys if I can get points for that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
But
you were my favorite character.
Me too. I was my favorite character as well. But Life is Beautiful showed different POV and how he explained it and how he went through this turmoil and trauma and what he had to do to keep his son's brain clear. And it's a great movie. They never talk about it. I'm telling you, we can watch 1,000 movies and we can talk about it. They never talk about it because he was an Italian director and he blew the doors open. No one talks about how great this movie was because it literally made you see things differently from his point of view and how he had to save his kid. So my mom's to me was the same way. Make me look at it differently. And of course, like the rest of the black kids, I was told you have to be 10 times better than your counterpart for the blessing. I got a nephew who's staying with me now, and I go, you got to be 10 times better than everybody else, but you're not competing with everybody else. You're competing with yourself.
Yes.
And he goes, well, what do you mean? I said, if we were running on a treadmill and I sped the treadmill up, you're not going to look to your right or your left to see who was running. We're on a treadmill.
Yeah.
They are the same place. But who can last on the treadmill is the winner. So if you can run and you can last and you're going to look forward, don't look to your right or your left. Be better tomorrow than you were today. That's it.
I love that. So Life is Beautiful. I'm going to go to this movie part because I feel like you've been a Hollywood movie enthusiast your whole life, it sounds like. When did you first want to be an actor? Was it before the NBA or after?
Before the NBA.
So the NBA was your backup?
Yeah, the NBA. I had the priorities.
Yep, I got it.
And so I said, if you become an athlete that's well known, you can get into Hollywood. Jim Brown, the Hammer, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. If you're an athlete and you do well enough there and you come over to Hollywood, they may put you in as a cameo, but you also get a chance to play roles. So my plan was to be in the NBA 10 years and then come to Hollywood. And I wanted to do what Johnny Carson was doing.
Wow. And
I did. So everything I've ever, and this is one thing I'm happy you asked, on your show is never stop setting your goals, right? Period. Because my deal was I'm going to go in the NBA, I'm going to get famous in the NBA, and then I'm going to come to Hollywood, and I'm going to do some movies, and I'm going to do television, and that's going to be it. No, because I did all that by 2000, right? So at the end of by going into 2001, I had already been the host of a late night talk show. I had already been in 5 movies. I had already won 4 championships. Now what? And so I didn't keep dreaming, or better put, God rest his soul, Malcolm Jamal Warner, I didn't think big enough. I didn't dream big enough. I need my dream to be so big it's hard to obtain all of those things. So I now dream bigger.
In a couple of your interviews, you talked about the prenup situation and how you were encouraged to get one and how you've advised others to get it and how it's worked out great. However, we're hitting this time in history, soon to be history, where there's going to be a huge transfer of wealth to a lot of women, right? As you mentioned before, the future is indeed female. So with that said, what are your thoughts on not only prenups, but this huge transfer of wealth that is going to be going towards women? And as a girl dad, right, how are you educating your daughters to be more financially independent?
As one of my brothers, Riz Islam, spoke of the Shannon Sharp situation, and he speaks on how it's because of the internet, it's different. And the reason it is because it's not just black women, white women. It's a way it's always been. Like, hey, get to this guy, marry him, divorce him, get a bag. Get to this guy, kick it with him, get a baby, get the child support. All right? That we're seeing tons of that. But that's put into a situation of survival, right? People are trying to survive every day.
Yep.
So if that's the hustle, if you're in the game, that's what the game is. What I would say to my daughters, which I haven't, but what I would say to my daughters is the most important thing is finding enough money to put into an investment that pays you 10% no matter what every year, and then leaving it in there for 20, 30 years. But you may not live that long. So you have to, every day you have to live. And I say that, you have to live every day. The important part of it is to my daughters is find somebody, as my father said, marry the one who loves you. And hopefully his father taught him the same. So find the one that loves you, and that's all of you. Not the makeup, not the clothes, not the breasts and the booty pads. I'm joking.
Booty pads.
I'm just joking.
Booty pads. Okay.
The hair, like somebody that loves you. And that's what you need to do. And all the materialistic stuff and the money stuff, that is all, it's worthless.
Yeah.
And the reason I know it's really doesn't make any sense is I know a billionaire who goes hiking and camping, which to me sounds crazy. You're a billionaire, you have a $30 million house in 5 different countries, different states, but you want to go in a tent to make your own fire, to catch your food, and worry about bears and wolves, right?
Yeah,
the most simple part of
not
things.
That'll never be me.
And I said that. I said, all of a sudden, when they get all the money, they want to do the simple things. And when they're doing the simple things, they want to do the expensive things. So people are never satisfied.
That's true.
So one of my daughters is in Panama right now, and she was like, yo, this is where her mother's from. She was like, I get it now. I said, what do you mean? She goes, I get exactly what you were saying. The simple, wonderful things in life are the simple, wonderful things in life. I said, yeah, okay. And one of my daughters lives in Brooklyn. I try to get as far away from Brooklyn as possible. Brooklyn's inside me, but the mentality of always having my knife, always, watching you for a different reason. My daughter was like, yeah, I love Brooklyn. I could never move back to LA. Like, this is my move. So I literally try to tell them as much as possible, but not hold their hand. I believe in life experiences, even when they're bad.
You told all of them to make sure they get a prenup, or would you be offended if a guy asked for them to sign a prenup?
No, there's no offense to business.
Okay.
And this is funny. If you take offense to business, that means you shouldn't be in that business because business is not personal. It's business. Another great movie, Godfather 2. When he said, hey, Mike, can you get me ice? I said, sorry, Sally. He goes, tell Mike it was only business. It's never personal, right? So business is business.
Yeah.
It's not personal. So when you walk up and you say, here's a prenup for my stuff that can, not just you, but it also puts us, since we got to get a license, that means this marriage is a business. So here's another, I'm not going to say amendment, but another addendum to your marriage is a prenup. That's all it is.
Okay, well, I definitely support that.
So I'm really, like, I don't get it mixed up. I'm so blessed to have daughters. You know, God said, I'm not going to give you any dummies. So he gave me women. So she gave me women.
You hear that, Dad? He has 3.
Yeah. They said, you know, Jay-Z said, if you have daughters, it's the sin of the father. That was predicated by some men who didn't know how to make love. So anyway, I'll leave it at that.
Okay, that's fair. Okay, so I want to talk to you about longevity.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. Which is all the rave right now. And you've openly talked about living to 120.
122.
I misspoke. Oh, well, that makes sense. 22. How do you plan to do that? You didn't just say that jokingly. You said that as like a declaration. And it seems right now, I don't know if you're manifesting everything in your life or if you are just that committed to your goals that you make shit happen. But how do you plan to achieve that?
The same way I plan to live to 60. The chances of me getting past 25 was slim and none, and Slim was leaving town.
That.
Now there's so much technology ahead of us. I was an executive producer in this thing called Longevity Hackers, which you can watch on Amazon Prime. And there's so many different ways and things you can do to help your avatar stay on the planet. This is really, be honest, it's a skin bag of bones and blood. That's all this is, right? But there's a way that you can keep working on this, that the cells stay alive and they stay with energy and they stay with electricity and you can enjoy it. I just want to thrive at a long life. My uncle, Jervy, one of my favorite people on the planet, just passed last year. And my Uncle Jervy lived like to 92 and still was funny and moving, but he had a walker. I want to do that, but I don't want a walker.
Yeah.
I want to say sly things to cute little young girls and call me a dirty old man. You can't do that now. You get arrested. But I want to be a feisty older gentleman. And there's ways of doing it. There's telomeres. There's stem cell. There's there's literally exercise, there's Pilates, there's yoga, there's eating real food, there's breathing, there's enjoying life. All of those things, that's how I plan on getting to that point.
Yeah.
And every day I'm trying to stay alive. Everyone says, if you ask anybody that knows me, when they're like, hey, John, talk to you later, I go, stay alive. That's how I answer it.
Yeah.
Stay alive.
Okay, well, I can't get away without not talking to you about basketball, right? So
I get paid for that, though.
I get it. I get it. You're checking the mail.
Pay me.
Just don't cash it. Just don't cash it, okay? It's in the mail. If you could create your own dream team right now today, across all of the years you've played and all the years that you didn't, what would be your starting 5 that you would play with? Best players.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Shaquille O'Neal, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, and LeBron James. I would have, let me go back. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic Johnson, Shaquille O'Neal, Michael Jordan, maybe LeBron or Kobe, Larry Bird, Charles Barkley, Oscar Robinson, Jerry West, Elgin Baylor. I'm putting the whole team together.
Okay. You got the best. You got everybody.
And me.
Okay, great. You didn't mention KD, and you've mentioned that you thought KD was a better player than...
I didn't say that.
I didn't say it.
Yeah, I said he was my favorite player.
Okay.
Well, the reason I didn't put KD on the team because there'd be no reason to have me on the squad. And they're going to say, well, you ain't KD.
Yeah.
That's not the deal. So in order to be a great team, everyone needs to sacrifice. And KD is one of the best at sacrificing his scoring ability. He can play defense and all that. So yeah, KD would be on the squad because I only named 10. So I left 2 spots open. And the reason I would want that as a team and why I would want to be on the team, because we'd never lose.
That's fair.
Never lose.
There's a part of me that feels like Kobe was spiritually tapped in some way, whether he said it or not. My question for you is there a moment between y'all that you might remember that you've never shared with anyone that gave you a little insight to how he did what he did so consistently and like the conviction with it, right?
OCD, ADD,
Oh,
ADHD.
that's why. Okay, so there's more.
I've shared it, but I asked him, I said, so you going to be the next Michael Jordan? He said, no, I'm going to be the first Kobe Bryant. And I was like, okay. Now, which people don't know, his father, God rest his soul, Jelly Bean was good too. But the problem is he played on the team with Dr. J, World Be Free, Moses, and Dow Dawkins. Like he was on that well-known team in the 80s and didn't get the chance to shine like he was supposed to. And so did what he needed to do in Europe and played well in Europe. But Kobe had a driving force to be as good as Michael, to play against Michael, to compete with Michael. And once he did, and then Michael gave him respect on, yeah, you're a great player, and didn't look down on him. They always say don't meet your heroes. He did, and his hero didn't disappoint him.
Wow.
So then when he would see other people playing, he was like, oh, I can punk him. And I can just, my focus is better than everyone else's. And that's what I liked. And that was the difference with Kobe. His focus seemed to be entirely different than everyone else's. Like I say it all the time. I'm a huge Carmelo Anthony fan. And then when he was coming out of college, I literally said on television, he should be the #1 pick. And then when he wasn't, when they picked LeBron, I was like, I think Carmelo should be the #1 pick. And then I saw LeBron. Yeah. Now I was like, okay. LeBron. Okay, maybe not. But don't take anything away from Carmelo. Carmelo was that dude. And you get all of these different abilities, but you see it's just like LeBron just has so many of them. But I still was not at that point. And that's when I told you, Kevin Durant, I'm a huge Kevin Durant fan because he will kill you and not speak to you the entire time. He does not talk on court. The game does all the talking. I love that about him.
Yeah, and I'm not much of a team person. I follow players that I like. So I was a Cavs fan, then I was a Miami fan, and I was a Cavs again, and now I'm an LA fan, so you can guess. But when I got to Cleveland, I saw that We Are All Witness sign with LeBron. It was just so powerful back then.
You know what the deal is, though? When you stay around for 20, 22 years, the media starts finding the ways of making people not like you. And so they're talking about, man, he should retire. Whoever says that. LeBron is the best example of living well and thriving of anybody else. And they go, well, he spends $1 million a year on his health. It's so stupid when people say that. What do you think Ronaldo does? What do you think Messi has? You just heard Venus talking about had to get herself back in shape. You see, when you're an athlete and you get paid to stay in shape, who cares what it costs? Yeah. So, so you went to Cleveland to Miami. So you're a Richard Jefferson fan? No, I'm joking. You're a LeBron fan. Okay, I got you. All right. I'm getting out of here.
All right, I know you have to go.
I don't get paid to be here this long.
Okay, I know. Last question before you go. Eminem or Nas?
Nas.
Nas or Tupac?
Nas.
Okay, all right. That's all I wanted to know.
That's all I wanted to know.
All right, that's all I need to hear.
Yeah.
All right.
I love Eminem. Eminem is probably one of the best lyricists, period. Okay. He ain't Nas, though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like they're from
Nas.
two different places, two different mentality. Nas is different than Eminem. But I like Eminem.
I love it. Well, Sal, thank you so much for coming on the show today. We appreciate you, viewers. I hope you enjoyed this discussion as well. Very informative. And yeah, thanks for coming on. We appreciate you and keep helping us in wellness.
Stay alive.
I will. I'll try my best. All right. Thanks, guys.